Hello, friends, and welcome to the Professional Procrastinator. I'm your host, Rohila, and if you're tuning in, chances are you're ready to turn the page on your procrastination habits. Each episode is a step towards action. No guilt, just positive energy and better strategies. Let's jump in and make procrastination a thing of the past. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Professional Procrastinator podcast. In this episode, we are going to explore what to do when you don't know what to do. This will be kind of a fun episode and a fairly quick one. So many times when I'm working with people, they always start with saying they don't know what to do. They just know something's wrong. They know that they need to make adjustments in their life. They just don't know where to start. And I'm telling you this, if you feel that way, just understand it's 100% normal. When you don't know where to start, it's okay not knowing where to start. But you have to then follow it up with learning what you need to do. So if you understand that there are certain aspects of your life that you need to change, take your health, your wealth, whatever the case may be, you need to make some changes in your life to get to a desired result that you want. It's okay to not know where to start. And so many times I have people coming up to me saying that they wished that they could do some of the things that I do. For example, public speaking, meditating, starting a podcast, writing a book. Now, here's the thing, especially when it comes to the podcast, because that's the one that I get the most often. And I tell people I wasn't born with a microphone in my hand. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. My very first microphone was just a cheap microphone that I got for $20. And now I've got literally thousands of dollars worth of equipment because I know what to do. I know what difference it makes. It's something that you only gain from experience. If someone wants to learn how to start a podcast, and I'll use this for an example, they can watch tons of YouTube videos, and you'll come across everything. Starting a podcast for beginners, just use your phone, or starting a podcast for advanced people, and setting up a multi-person setup with a mixer, using a condenser microphone versus a dynamic, USB versus XLR. All these things are legitimate questions that a person needs to understand when it comes to developing a more advanced podcast. But at the very beginning, if you haven't even pushed record and you're not using your phone, then you are not setting yourself up for success. There are plenty of people who use only their phone and have a very successful podcast. A lot of the episodes that I do on some of my other podcasts are just done straight from my phone. That's it. So understand that if there are things that you say you want to do, you need to get started on doing them. And there are certain things that hold you back. The number one is analysis paralysis. It's over-researching. It's searching for perfectionism. Some of you are not willing to be bad at something long enough to be good at it. And a lot of that comes from not knowing where to start. Well, here's the thing. You just need to start. And I know that sounds oversimplified, but think about this right now. Think about something that you have said that you've wanted to do in your life, right? Just take a couple seconds and think about that. So I'm gonna pause real quick, give you about 10 seconds. Think about something that you have said you've always wanted to do. And a couple of examples could be going hiking, going kayaking, climbing a mountain, running a marathon, learning how to paint, learning how to play the piano, learning another language, going to the gym, getting healthier. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Just think of something that you have always said that you've wanted to do. Ready? Go. All right. So by now, hopefully all of you have thought of at least one thing that you have said that you've always wanted to do. Now, I'm going to say something, and I'm going to give it another 10 seconds of silence, after I say this, but I want you to think about that thing that you have said that you've wanted to do. And if I said, start today, could you do that? All right, and we're back. So hopefully you did take the time to think about that. Now, here's the thing. All the objections that popped into your mind as soon as I said, could you do that right now? That's the stuff that you are internalizing and overcomplicating in your own mind. A perfect example is a long time ago, I wanted to start running. So I went up to a couple of friends of mine who did run, and I said, I want to start running. Can you help me? And they said, great, just start running. And I was like, you fools. Okay, what kind of shoes do I need? How far do I run? How do I, which app do you use on your phone to measure how far you've ran? Do you use GPS? Do you not? Do you go by distance or do you go by amount of time running? What's the best way to breathe? And already they just were laughing at me because they're like, bro, you're overcomplicating it. Just start. And when you are new to something and someone tells you to just start, that's so crazy, because what happens is we overcomplicate everything because we are aiming for perfection. A perfect example of just doing something is, for myself, painting. I've always wanted to paint. I just thought the idea of just being lost in the moment and using these colors to show an image that only exists in my head, in my imagination, and no one else can see it. Well, having the tools to be able to show someone is so powerful. If I'm a photographer and I see a mountain, I can take a picture of that mountain to show you the version of that mountain that I see. But if I have an image in my head of a mountain, no matter how much I describe it, no matter how fine-tuned the AI tools I use to create that graphic, it will never match what's in my head. But if I can paint, now all of a sudden I'm close to showing you what that image is in my mind. And to me, that was always just something so magical. And so a while back ago, I went to my first paint and sip class. And for those who aren't familiar with that, essentially you go to a painting studio, it's instructor led, and for X amount of time, like for us, it was an hour and a half, you paint a picture. They walk you through everything. They give you all the tools necessary to do it. And I had so much fun. And since then, I can tell you I've already painted 5-6 different paintings on my own. I am watching, I'll talk about how I got started and what my own tools are in a second. But I just started. I didn't aim for perfection. I didn't aim for to have the same output as someone who's been doing this for years. I just started, knowing that it's going to be bad, knowing it's not going to live up to my own expectations of the high expectations that I set. But just getting started was so much fun. I was willing to be bad at something long enough to become good at it. So what are my go-to tools? These are my go-to tools anytime I want to start something new. First and foremost, YouTube. YouTube is my go-to. And I watch tons of videos all day long on different topics. Everything from how to be a better painter. Lately, I've really been into Simon Sinek videos. Also, if you know me, I watch a ton of Lord of the Rings related stuff. But that's beside the point. But YouTube is my go-to. And so I've watched a ton of painting YouTube videos. One person that I follow is Michelle the Painter. And I've watched so many of her videos. I follow along. I do what she's doing. Does it look like hers? No, not at all. Am I getting better? Yes. Am I having fun? Yes. And isn't that the goal of life, is to enjoy life? So YouTube is my go-to. Next up, podcasts, especially in the world of personal development. I can't tell you what a blessing it is that podcasts exist. I have literally spent thousands and thousands of dollars on CDs and audio programs. Everyone from Tony Robbins, Jim Rohns, Brian Tracy, I mean, you name it, I've listened to it. Thousands of dollars. And now that same content is available for free. It's constantly being updated. How amazing is that? One of the podcasts I listen to the most is Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're familiar with him, you are. If you're not, he is all about marketing. And he is in your face, and he is a strong believer of just get started. And I've listened to him so many times. My entire life has taken on a different role than it would have had I not been introduced to him. And all of his content that I've consumed so far has been free. How amazing is that? So when people say they can't afford to learn stuff, they can't afford to go to a seminar, they can't afford to read books, that is just an excuse. Podcasts are free. The library is free. I can tell you right now, there are literally hundreds of personal development books in my library, in my personal library that I have purchased. I can also tell you I visit my public library all the time. I get ebooks, I get audiobooks, I get physical books for free. If I enjoy them, then I'll buy the content. But that's the thing is I've recommended a lot of books to people and they've told me that, you know, they'll get around to it, but it's available for free. So come on, what excuses are you going to keep giving someone? The other thing is create a roadmap of the end result that you want. This is kind of interesting. Creating a roadmap of the end result that you want. Now, anyone around the world being able to subscribe to a podcast and listen to an episode is always the end result that I am wanting when it comes to all the podcasts that I create. That's it. I'm not looking for thousands of listeners all around the world. I'm not aiming to get sponsors. My goal is anyone around the world able to subscribe to my podcast and listen to an episode. When I wrote my book, the only goal I had was for someone that I don't know to buy the book and to have an impact. That's it. Somebody that I don't know. How simple is that? Now, is that selling myself short on what I'm capable of? Does that alter my goals at all? Slightly, I'd say. If my goal was to have 1,000 people buy my book the first week, I would have a different action plan. But for my very first book, that wasn't my action plan. That wasn't my goal. My goal was just someone that I don't know to read this and have an impact. How powerful is that? See, we get so caught up in the statistics behind everything that we lose the magic of things. The fact that I can sit in my office in Seattle, my home office in Seattle, write a book and have anyone in the world order that book on Amazon, have it delivered to their doorstep within a few days, and then they can read it. How amazing is that? That's so powerful. What a blessing that is. I feel ecstatic knowing that my goal in life is to positively impact the world. When that becomes your goal, you're going to do things differently. And there's so much power in that. It's beautiful. So the other thing that you do when you don't know where to start is asking yourself how-to questions. This gets to the technical aspect of it, the logistics of it. So, for example, if I set a goal that I want anyone in the world to be able to listen to a podcast episode. Well, great. What are some of the questions I'm going to have? How do I record? How do I post? How do I edit? How do I market? How do I grow? Etc. Asking yourself how-to questions, what that's going to do is that's going to help you create a roadmap of what you need to know in order to get somewhere. If my goal is to create a podcast, the first thing that most people would focus on is the equipment. What equipment do I need? Great. Well, next is going to be, what do I even do? So why is it immediately we go to the equipment and not the how-to? When the how-to is more important than the equipment that you're going to use. One of my favorite things is the best microphone that most YouTubers use, podcasters use, is the Shure SM7B. That is kind of the gold standard. Everyone uses that. I don't. I use a Rode Procaster. But I've tried it, and I like it. But the microphone that I'm using right now is less expensive, but it makes me sound better. I feel like it captures my highs and my lows. I like the way I sound on that. I didn't really like the way I sounded on the Shure SM7B. But that's the thing that most people don't do, is they don't take the time to understand the why behind something. Can you start off a podcast for free using your phone? Yes. Can you start a podcast spending $2,000 on a mixer? Yes. Are they both going to sound the same? No, night and day difference. I can tell you that just based off experience. They will sound completely different. However, will you sound completely different? No. You're going to sound the exact same. Your words are going to be the same. Your experience is going to be the same. Being good at a podcast only comes with experience. But if you don't allow yourself to be bad at something, again, long enough to be good at it, it's the same thing as not starting. One of the previous episodes we talked about was awareness without action is just awareness. Understanding something but not doing anything about it is the same thing as not even knowing anything about it. If you're not going to do anything with your information, then what's the point of all this? So if you don't know where to start, this is what I'm going to say. These are my go-to tools. One, I go to YouTube for a ton of stuff on how to do stuff. Two, I listen to podcasts. Three, I create a roadmap of what I want my end result to be. And four, I ask myself tons of how-to questions. So here's the big takeaway. I love this quote. A year from now, you will wish you had started today. Again, a year from now, you will wish you had started today. It doesn't take a grand declaration of, from now on, I'm going to do all these things. The very first time I recorded a podcast, I didn't say I want 10,000 listeners on every single episode. It just happens. It just grows. But it requires a lot of work. But the first step towards anything is to take a step. So to sum it up, today we talked about what to do when you don't know what to do. The thing is, the majority of people will be happy enough not knowing, because what that means is they now have excuses available to justify why they aren't where they want to be. They'll use excuses like, I could if I wanted to. Now start by exploring. You don't need the step-by-step instructions that you think you need. You just need to get started. A perfect example is I was doing a painting of Multnomah Falls in Oregon. And I did the falls great. I did the foliage and everything else perfectly. I was happy with that. But for those who are familiar with Multnomah Falls will know there is a bridge that goes across that, the waterfall flows under. The bridge for me was hard. I didn't want to do it. This was the first time I had ever painted a man-made thing, which means now I need straight lines. I need shadows. I need to do all this stuff that I didn't know how to do. And I almost didn't do it. I was happy with the falls and everything. But I realized if I don't do the bridge, I will never learn how to do the bridge. And I did it. Is it a wobbly bridge? Yes. Would I feel safe walking across it myself? Probably not. But did I do it? Yes. And the next time I do it will be better. The other thing is check out YouTube videos. You're going to get so many people who are on YouTube who just want to help you. If there's something that you want to learn about, explore. If there's a skill that you want, try it. There's plenty of tips like this available all around. You just need to search for it. So with that, thank you for spending your time with me. Hopefully it wasn't just another form of procrastination. I'm Rohila, reminding you that sometimes later becomes never. So do it now. You deserve it.